ready. It's time for Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers talk with Rick Hughes and David Whitecarver.
This is
Bucs Live.
Let's Go.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Welcome to Bucs Live, guys. Yeah, let's get it over with. My name is Rick Hughes. I'm here with, as always, the dazzling David Whitescarver on Bucs Live, and we are ready to break down the catastrophe, the disaster, the horrible
prognostications,
whatever that was. Yeah, we made some predictions. I was right. 31 points would be scored. I just had the wrong team.
And Ryan Suckup didn't even kick an extra point last night. I said he was going to kick a 34-yard field goal to win the game as time expired. Little off. Sorry.
Little off.
Little bit off.
Guys, we're going to talk about this, and I think we're going to try to both give our honest opinions. I'm not going to go, sometimes, believe it or not, no shock, we say and do some things, perhaps for effect, perhaps because it makes the show a little more entertaining.
What?
Yeah,
this wasn't in the pre-production meeting.
I'm going to be very straight up with you about my thoughts about what we're looking at coaching wise, what we're looking at quarterback wise, what we're looking at team wise. Both. I'm gonna be honest with you about this season and the season coming. Let's talk about all of it. Let's break it all down. Let's get into this. First thing, let's just say this. There is some, I guess you would call it sort of, it's not exactly, but it's sort of breaking news. All right. So this just in, I guess, a Pewter Report is breaking the news that Todd Bowles is fine. Sorry. That Byron Leftwich is will be job hunting. So, looks like Byron Leftwich is going to be out of a job, and we will talk about that. We will get into that, what our thoughts are about that, and we're also going to talk about the disaster from last night and what to look forward to ahead. Now, look. Let me say this. Let's say that last night, let's be honest, was a microcosm of the season. We went to the playoffs. We won the division. But let's be honest, this was not the most fun of seasons. Okay? We've had far worse. But it wasn't a really fun season. Okay? It wasn't. It was full of all kinds of little issues and little problems and bad defeats and just a lot of stuff going on that was not fun. This whole year was that way. And last night was sort of a microcosm of that. Last night, Dave, give me your first, give me your view from 30,000 feet. What's your overall impression of last night?
My immediate thought as this game was going on last night, as the outcome was becoming crystal clear, was it looked like you had a 13-14 playing an 8-9 team, and they lived up to their record.
Yeah,
the Dallas Cowboys had a chip on their shoulder after the last week of the season, that debacle. They were not going to lose that football game. It would have taken a Herculean effort of the 2 seasons ago Buccaneers team to beat them last night. Dak Prescott didn't have a turnover. He played fantastic. The Bucs defense showed up for the first 5 minutes, and then they couldn't stop them.
Right.
They were balanced. They had roughly the same number of passes as they did runs. The defense was all over Brady, not in the sense of sacking him, but making him throw the ball at the feet of running backs.
No. They
No
did not
what?
make him do that. They did not make him do that. He wouldn't step up in the pocket. He got rid of the ball so fast. They weren't pressuring him. They weren't hitting him. He was getting rid of the ball before they pressured him and before they hit him.
They
So
played pretty good defense last night, I thought.
absolutely they did. But they had 10 guys in the box, one deep safety. Okay, pretty much the whole game, and Brady still didn't throw the ball deep because he got rid of the ball in under 2 seconds. He wasn't getting hit. You didn't see Brady on the ground all night. You didn't see that because he wasn't getting hit. Okay,
No, he was getting rid of the ball quick.
right, too quick. Routes couldn't develop. Nothing could happen. So yeah, you're right. He was getting rid of the ball.
They were putting pressure on him then.
They weren't. He was doing it before the pressure came. This is my problem with what's been going on with Brady all year, and this is my problem with this. Guys, I love Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the best quarterback this franchise has ever had.
That's almost all the team records in 3 years.
Let me be clear. He's the best thing that's ever happened to this franchise. But let me make this crystal clear. You can't have a quarterback that's a pocket passer that's afraid to step up into the pocket and deliver the ball and take a hit. All right. Hitting is football. All right. You can't be so afraid to take a hit that you are no longer effective at your position. Tom Brady has all the skill that he needs physically. He's still able to do this mentally. He's certainly the guy. All right. But he has to make the decision that he wants to play football if he decides to come back. This year, Tom Brady, something was different about the guy. He didn't want to play football, okay? He didn't want to play football. He got rid of the ball too fast. Routes couldn't develop. Nobody could do anything. Everybody's like, why was the running game so bad? It was the offensive line. No, it was because the defenses all just stacked the box. And then you couldn't run. Nobody was worried about Brady throwing deep this year. That's why you saw Mike Evans get deep so many times. That's why Julio Jones got deep this game. That's why Evans broke deep again this game and dropped the ball. That's why Evans, when he got deep, look, when you throw the ball one time a game, maybe two, your receivers aren't going to be as sharp as over the last couple of years when we were throwing the ball deep. Guys, this is not all the offensive line. I love Tom Brady. No disrespect to the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Having said that, no, this was not the offensive line that was the problem. This was a Brady problem. He's got to be willing to step up into the pocket if he's going to be a pocket passer. You can't have it both ways. No, I don't, because we got our butt kicked. Whatever, I'm still a Bucs fan. Go Bucs. I'll always be a Bucs fan. That's never going to change. But, wow. Eesh, that was pretty brutal.
Well, here's what I don't understand is you have a head coach who wants to run the football, and you only ran the ball 15% of the time.
Yeah, they addressed it.
I just doesn't add. I mean, stepping back for a minute, like that 30,000, it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't line up.
Well, Todd Bowles talked about it today at his press conference. Asked him that exact question. You say you want to run the ball more. Look, when we won during our Super Bowl year, you saw the stats. The first half of the year, we didn't run the ball much. Second half of the year, we did. And look at how much better we did. And yeah, there's no doubt we need to be able to run the ball better. But guys, it's not going to happen with the way things have been going. It's not going to happen when you allow the defense to stack the box and don't change what you're doing. Now,
they threw the ball 66 times and they ran it 12.
And think, he threw the ball 66 times and only got sacked twice and probably only hit two more times. That's not a line problem. The line did their job. Brady didn't. I'm sorry. I love the guy. He's the greatest player the game has ever seen. Not last night. He got.
You want him back?
Yes.
Boy, that was enthusiastic.
Was that hesitant enough? I don't want this guy back. I don't want this guy back. The guy we had this year. I want the guy back that has extra practices before the season. I want the guy back who's really motivated and hungry to win a championship. I don't want a guy who's, got a lot going on. I don't want that guy. There's 45, got a lot going on. I want a guy who's our quarterback and ready to be our quarterback and commit to being the quarterback and say, you know what, come hell or high water, I'm the quarterback. If I take a hit, I take a hit. I mean, that's part of the game. I'm sorry, you're 45 years old, and if you say I can't take a hit because I won't be able to recover as quickly, well, if you're not willing to step up in the pocket, stop. You're a freaking pocket passer. You have to be able to step up in the pocket.
He did have that one Mahomes-like flip.
Yeah, when he was out of the pocket moving. What do you know? What do you know? I mean,
he still has it, or does he?
I think he has the ability to have it. He has all the physical ability to do it. He has the mental ability to do it. He's got to have the want to back. That's what I think has been lacking this season. Taking Wednesdays off, taking extra time in training camp off, instead of doing all the extra stuff that he did during our Super Bowl year. Hi, Bucs.
Breaking into parks to have illegal practices.
Right. He wanted to win.
That's what he did when he first got here.
Right. He wanted to win. This year, he showed up and said, hey, let's see what happens.
Going into the wrong house, thinking it was Byron Leftwich.
Yes. Now, having said that, I'm sitting here talking bad about Brady. I want to be clear. This is not a Rip Brady fest. We owe this guy. The 3 best years in our franchise's history, the best 3-year run. We owe this guy. And if he wants to come back, go Brady, go Tom. I'll be in your court. Let's do it. I'll be a fan next year. Let's go. I'm not going to be one of the people hopping online, spending all my time complaining about the team. I'm not going to do that. But
after I heard him last night, I was thinking he's done. I don't think he's coming back.
Well, it sounded he sounded like he was saying goodbye. He had his parents meet him under the tunnel after the game. It had all the feelings, all the feels of a goodbye.
He was fawning over the media in the press conference.
He just said he's going to be a member of them shortly if he retires. So
anyway, I didn't get the sense. I mean, sure, he's going to go take some time and decide, but I've just got this sense that he's done. For some of the reasons you said. I mean, he knows his performance better than anybody else, and he knows how to critique it. And I don't think at 46 he's going to be fired up to play football like he was 3 years ago. And I think he knows it.
I don't think he knows it because I don't think he gave it a shot this year. But having said that, and Jim Melvin says here, I agree with almost everything that you're saying, except that to step into the pocket, there has to be a pocket. Most of the time, there was just a battering ram of defenders clogging everything up. Again, because you allow 10 people in the box, that's part of what happens when you get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Brady nobody's near him. Nobody's within a few yards of him. And Brady still just throws the ball in the dirt to get rid of it. I mean, come on, Jim, you've got to admit, everybody out here, you've got to admit, Brady has been off target a lot this year when receivers are open. It's a problem. It really is a problem. Guys, the whole turning point for all of this, when I look at this and think, what was the turning point with Brady? These things seem unrelated, but I will tell you that the team seemed to change. Everything changed in one moment. And that was when Antonio Brown ran off the field last year. It seems like since then, that was the turning point. Like this team hasn't been the same since then.
Well, I think there's one more turning point as well.
What's that?
When Bruce Arians
stepped away.
Yeah, I was going to say he's still in the building, but
right.
when he resigned as head coach.
Right.
You can't. Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator. He reminds me of Dave Wannstedt, a great defensive coordinator, but when it comes to being a head coach, it's a totally different skill set.
Yeah. I don't know that we totally know that about Bowles yet. I think one more year we'll get the data. But I don't think we know that yet. I don't know. I mean, I look at it like this. Todd Bowles chose all the defensive coaches, right? These are the same defensive coaches that were the same offensive coaches that were our offensive coaches during the Super Bowl year and last year, the two best seasons in this franchise's history with offense. Did these guys forget how to coach? I don't think so. So why is the offense that much worse? Certainly the loss of one of the best receivers in history, Antonio Brown, the head case that he was, the clown that he was. I'm glad he's gone, but losing him is losing a massive talent. Then you also lose at the end of the year Chris Godwin to an injury. Got to wait, had to wait for him to come back, and then he hasn't totally been himself. He'll be back better next year. But you didn't have that force on the other side to pull defenders away. You didn't have that.
Losing Antonio Brown or Rob Gronkowski was a bigger loss. Which was a bigger loss to the offense?
I was about to get there and talk about that. It's a great question. The answer is I don't know, because they both really hurt. I mean, you lose the best tight end in history and one of the best receivers in history. And then everybody goes, why isn't the offense as good?
Well, I know there's been some of our listeners have expressed they're disappointed because the talent level that this team has should have risen above the record. And I have a hard time seeing that. You lost so much. Yeah. I mean, think about, we were talking about Brady and Gronkowski and where they were at as far as touchdowns and completions. They were up there with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. I mean, that's the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks and wide receivers. And he's a tight end on top of it. You just don't lose that. And I mean, I go back, I think probably three. There's probably three turning points. Antonio Brown walking off the field, because we didn't realize it then, but basically the chance at a Super Bowl, Super Bowl repeat, went walking off the field with him. Then when Bruce Arians stepped away from being the head coach, and I'll go back into one more because I think this contributed to Gronkowski.
What's that?
Retiring. When he had a punctured lung, he got crunched. I mean, for lack of a better term.
Point. Yeah, I don't think that was a turning point, but I think it affected him wanting to. It brought us to the turning point. Yeah.
So I think those three things were just looking back. I mean, you didn't realize it at the time. I mean, somehow you get in this mentality where if your team goes and wins the Super Bowl, that you're going to do that on a regular basis now. And it's look at the Rams. It's really hard to win in the NFL. It's really hard to get to a Super Bowl. It's really hard to win a Super Bowl. And it's really hard to go back the next year. It hasn't happened since the Patriots in 2011 and 10 and 11 or 11 and 12, I forget which, but it just doesn't happen. And it can turn on a dime. Did Sean McVay all of a sudden become a lousy coach?
Oh, Dave, hold on. You were just talking about Todd Bowles a second ago.
Did he become a lot? Well, I mean, Todd Bowles was not the head coach. I mean, I think, Bruce Arians, he wanted to be the cool uncle that the players could have a drink with, but he was a leader. And he set the tone. And he almost was like this cartoon character come to life. But Todd Bowles it's a different skill set. I mean, I think he's a fabulous coordinator.
He's running the defense. He didn't run the offense. We also learned something. We'll talk about this in just a second when we come back. We're going to talk about this in just a second. Guys, we found out today they almost got rid of Byron Leftwich earlier in the season, like around the bye week or prior to that. after the Thursday night game. We'll talk about that in just a second. All right, so we found out today from Pewter Report, who's just been phenomenal over the last 24 hours. We found out today that they had pretty much decided on firing Byron Leftwich partway into the season, that it was going to be after the Thursday night game and then also by the bye week that they were going to get rid of Byron Leftwich. And Todd Bowles vetoed that and said, let's finish this season out. We'll figure out what we're going to do then. Which to Dave's point, maybe that makes him culpable. But
he's the head coach.
I understand, but all of a sudden now, who you bring in midway through the season that's going to fix the problem? So,
well, I mean, that's an ongoing issue that most fans don't take pause and consider. It's not just a question of firing somebody because things aren't going well. It's like, who are you going to replace him with?
Right.
It's like, we had a horrible season, fire the coach. Well, who are you going to replace him with? Who's coming in? Is he going to be better or not? Who are you going to get to come be an offensive coordinator during the season?
Right. Now we know who it looks like, who the rumors are, blah, 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 will be the next offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, and that's Bill O'Brien. He's got a relationship with Brady already. He coaches Brady hard, has no problem chewing Brady out, and I think that's been part of the problem, and I want to talk about this. Brady likes to be coached hard. Arians would chew Brady out. We all heard about the famous red pen. And the thing is this.
Back to the drawing board.
Can you picture Byron Leftwich correcting Tom Brady or yelling at Tom Brady? I mean, I saw when the Buccaneers came back and won a game, Brady walked over to the sideline and grabbed Byron by the side of his head and was encouraging him. Okay. That's backwards. All right. You don't need your quarterback coaching up your coach. And Bill O'Brien will come in and will smack Brady when he needs to be smacked and coach him up. And that's what Brady likes. And that's what Brady needs. And I think we will be good when that happens. Let me say this, and I want everybody to think about this. If the Buccaneers were willing to fire Byron Leftwich partway through the season, the only way that the Glazers would have been willing to do that was with Tom Brady's blessing. Okay? So what happened is Brady gave his blessing to get rid of Leftwich during the year. There was a problem there. All right? So to all of you who've been ripping on Byron Leftwich all year, there you have it. You're getting your way. All right? Now, I don't think he forgot how to be a coordinator. I think what has proven itself to be true is that Bruce Arians was doing more of the coordinating than we were led to believe. So I think that's sort of what we see there. But Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady this year. I mean, for Byron Leftwich to go from being offered the Jaguars job to a few weeks into the season for the Bucs, them being ready to fire him, think about that transition. Think about that fall from grace. That's not a small thing. That's a big fall. So he didn't just fall. He fell hard and fell fast. And if you look at some of the route running, some of the route combinations, you look at some of what happened on Brady's interception in the end zone, if you step back and watch that play, it's horrifying what the receivers were doing. They literally just sort of half-heartedly almost ran some slants all bunched into the same area of the field. And Brady stepping back got rid of the ball and didn't get enough on it. He was trying to throw it away. Brady kind of said, well, I thought Godwin was going to turn around and I was trying to throw it away. And I think Brady messed up. I think he kind of got caught in no man's land in between throwing it away and hoping Godwin would turn around and come back and get it. And he didn't get enough on the ball. And that's how we ended up with that interception. I think that's how that all went bad. But guys, these guys haven't forgotten how to coach. I think it's that Byron Leftwich was just in over his head. I don't think he's well. I'm not. I almost said I don't think he's a bad guy. I'm not so sure about that. He's snarky, that's for sure. But
Just a little.
but having said that, you don't wish harm on the guy. Like I found myself like I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys, right? Hate them. Cannot stand them. Not my least favorite team, but they're in the ballpark. I really can't stand the Cowboys, but I felt bad for their kicker last night. I mean, I really sat there.
I don't feel bad for him.
I did after missing.
I loved. I heard one of the commentators say that doesn't happen in high school.
Right. I mean, to miss 3 extra points all year and then to miss 4 in one game, it was so deep in his head. I felt bad for the guy because he's a good kicker, and you're sitting there looking at the guy. I mean, look, guys, we were going to lose the game. I know. There was even a part of me that kept going, maybe Brady will bring us back on a miracle comeback. At some point, that was pretty obvious that wasn't going to happen.
Oh, I thought when they got down early to the Panthers that the Bucs were going to come back. I didn't think that at all last night.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is our comeuppance now.
Yeah. Well, we played. Look, it was the 8-9 team that backed into the playoffs. That's who you saw yesterday. All right. They are who we thought they were. That's what we got out of the Bucs. Okay. We got out of them what we saw all year. There was no magic coming out party in the playoffs. Did we have hope for that? I guess a little. Yeah, I did. I hoped. Of course I hoped. What do you want me to do? Of course I hoped. But, that it just wasn't to be last night. It wasn't there.
And the Brady magic during the season was against what ended up being really bad teams. You didn't know how bad at the time, against the Rams. Oh, that was going to be the turnaround, was that comeback against the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, they put it to the Panthers. I'm like, well, the Panthers were playing better and they were running up rushing yards against really bad teams, but they're not that good. And the Bucs are just a little bit better. And I think you're going to see Dallas is going to get handled pretty good by the 49ers out in California this weekend. So the Bucs have got a ways to go. With the Bucs of 2022 season is just not a very good football team.
When we come back, guys, I have a surprise for Dave, a segment he has no idea is coming. And it's something he's going to have to do, and he has no idea it's even coming. We'll be back in just a second.
Goodbye.
All right, so we got a new segment here that we're going to do that Dave knows nothing about, and that's the only way that this would work, really, truly. All right, it's a simple segment. It's called 5 Questions for Dave.
Okay.
All right, fill in the blank questions.
My responses are all C.
Okay. Fill in the blank questions.
Oh, blank questions. Well, that's different.
Okay. All right. Before last night's game, I felt blank.
Hopeful.
Okay. After the game, I felt
the end of an era. That's not a word, but
that's
no,
it doesn't have to be a word. That's all right.
The end of an era.
Felt like it was the end of an era. Okay. I was most disappointed in
the defense. The defense couldn't after the Cowboys got rid of their nerves, the defense really didn't stop them. I was very disappointed in that. More so than the offense. I kind of got what I expected there.
All right. The biggest problem with the Buccaneers is blank.
It's so hard to choose. It's just a lack of running game.
Oh, that's the biggest problem, is a lack of running game.
Okay. Because it sets everything else up. You're not going to win playoff games throwing the ball 66 times.
Okay. And the last question. Next year, I think the Bucs will
be average.
Be average. All right. That's a horrible outlook. Let me tell you, guys, I think next year the Buccaneers are going to have a better record than they had this year. Now, let me tell you why, and it's not a crazy thought. And I'm even saying that not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. Okay, I can even tell you, plug in Blaine Gabbert, plug in whomever. I think they're going to have a better record for a couple of reasons. Number one, that quarterback will be willing to do what is necessary, take a hit. Probably if it's 3rd and 3 and he drops back to throw the ball. If it's not Brady, that quarterback has at least some ability to maybe get 3 yards, to run the ball for 3 yards if nobody's open. You have a much easier schedule next year. So I think the Bucs will be better next year when it comes to record. I'm not saying they'll be better. When it comes to record, the Buccaneers will be better next year. Do I think that means they're going to win the division? Not necessarily. Some other teams are coming up. I think we got to wait and see what happens with the Panthers, especially just to see where they go. And God forbid Brady goes to New Orleans. That just perish the thought. I'm horrified at the thought of that. Now I want to talk about this. I want to talk about, as I look forward for the Bucs, the concerns that I have. I want to get into that because there certainly are. Oh wait, let's see, Jason. How about a 6th question for me? Hey David, blank is your favorite position in the bedroom?
Awake.
Nice. That's not my favorite. All right. So, figured I'd throw that in there. All right. I want to talk about the speaking of positions. I want to talk about several positions for the Buccaneers next year. First of all, what are the most important positions on the field? I heard this actually. I was listening to the JP show today, and they brought up something that I thought was very interesting. They brought up quarterback, left tackle, in this day and age, receiver, your edge rusher, and cornerback. Those are your kind of key positions. Let's call them your 5 positions. Your quarterback, left tackle, receiver, defensive end or edge rusher, and cornerbacks. Let's look at the Bucs for next year. If those are the key, quarterback, who's going to be their quarterback? We don't know. Left tackle, who's going to be their left tackle? We don't know. I get the feeling we've seen Donovan Smith's last game. To his credit, let me say this. He's caught a lot of grief this year, and he's been playing with a hyperextended elbow all year long. So you wonder why he's reaching out and grabbing people, because he can't use his other arm fully. That's a pretty big deal, and he's been playing with that all season. So, that's a pretty big deal. So now we've covered 2 positions, 2 of the most important positions, quarterback and left tackle. We don't know. Receiver, we don't know what's up with Russell Gage. The Julio Jones experiment is mercifully over.
He had a touchdown though.
Yes, he did. 70-something yards. I just missed. But the guys, it's at receiver. We need another receiver. Mike Evans, look, if I had to predict going into next year, Mike Evans is going to struggle to get that 1,000 yards, guys. I think he's starting to slow down. Chris Godwin has really become the man.
Mike Evans turns 30 in August.
Yeah. Now, edge rusher.
And he's much old. His body's much older than a 30-year-old.
Yes, it is. Shaq Barrett's coming back, but he's coming back off an Achilles. And I know today he said that he's going to come back with a vengeance next year. That's great. I know I heard that interview. That's wonderful. But it's easy to say. All right. As somebody else said, unfinished business, Tom Brady. It's easy to say. Talk's cheap. I'm hoping we get the real Shaq Barrett back next year. JTS, Joe Tryon Sroyinka. You don't get more than one more year, buddy. 4 sacks for the whole year. You were in the backfield all the time. You were running around in the backfield more than their quarterback was. You still couldn't hit him. You'd overrun the quarterback mostly. You've got so much speed, you would literally just run right by the quarterback, run around the quarterback. You were all over their backfield, but you weren't making the kind of impact that this team needs from you. That's a key, very critical position in a Todd Bowles defense. And Shaq Barrett was out, and JTS was quite honestly a little disappointing. It was the second year. You get one more, buddy. You get one more. If you don't pull something out of your hat or somewhere else, I think that you're not going to get another contract from this team. We need more out of you, JTS. I think that's pretty clear. But I don't know. I mean, that seems pretty important. Everybody talking at quarterback. I keep hearing this. I saw Lamar Jackson, people saying maybe Lamar Jackson's coming. Lamar Jackson to the Bucs. First of all, he doesn't fit the offense. The offense isn't built that way. Quarterbacks that are somewhat mobile are the thing these days. Somewhat. All over the league, you got quarterbacks who are running around all over the place. The Bucs still have a quarterback that sits in the pocket. By the way, don't think that that's out of style completely. Look at Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is a Brady-style quarterback. When you look at those quarterbacks running around all over the place, Jalen Hurts is hurt. Kyler Murray's hurt. Lamar Jackson's hurt. There are so many of those guys that are hurt.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so
there's a definite theme going along here.
Right. I don't want a quarterback that is a running quarterback, but I want a quarterback with some mobility so that if he does need to scramble for a few yards, look what Dak did to us last night. We need some kind of mobility at that position if Brady's not back. Dave, any thoughts on that whole, that way of looking at it?
Well, in my unexpected spot that you put on me, I said the running game, and it's because that sets up the pass, or you have to have some level of balance. I mean, the Cowboys were 33 pass, 35 run. You have to have some level of balance. And when you can't run the football at all, it throws things out of balance. It's a problem. You got to have both in the NFL, or you're not going to be a successful offense. So I think there needs to be some level of mobility, but I'm not for these primary rushing quarterbacks. They getting hurt. The only one that had, and he had his knocks, was Michael Vick, that had sustained success to being a true running quarterback. So,
yeah. And he had a few years there in the center of his career. He had a few years there in the center of his career where he wasn't around to get hurt.
True. But I mean, I agree with you. You don't want a running quarterback because it's brutal, the punishment that they take, but you do have to have some level of mobility. And we've discussed this before. A person I wouldn't mind coming to the Buccaneers would be Derek Carr if Brady retires. And I think he's going to. But
I I would be thrilled. I'd be beside myself happy if we got Derek Carr.
Well, he was in a bad situation with the Raiders throughout his career. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's not a top 10 quarterback. I think he's a top 15, but with the receivers the Bucs have, you definitely could make it work.
Yep. Looking forward, when we come back in just a second, we are going to look forward and talk about what lies ahead. We're going to talk about next season. We're going to talk about the salary cap. We're going to get into that just a little bit. We'll be right back. All right. So, I was going through this earlier, and we got off track. But Josh Capo from the Pewter Report, you guys please follow this guy on Twitter. It's somebody you want to follow on Twitter. He really is somebody you want to follow. He's a very smart guy. He broke down some cap numbers. He broke down some plans and some different things. And Pewter Report kind of feels like I do. There's a 50-50 shot. Brady's going to come back to the Bucs. All right. He very well may come back to the Bucs. He might not. Nobody's saying, oh yeah, he's coming back. But if he comes back, he will most likely restructure his deal. If he doesn't, then the Bucs probably wouldn't take him back. So if he restructures, first of all, if he retires, there's a $34.1 million cap hit, dead cap hit. All right. Let's say Brady restructures. If he restructures $30 million for this year, they restructure it. He comes back for one season, one final hurrah with Gronk, by the way. He comes back. You will save $16.1 million against the cap if he stays for one more season. He may not. Okay. You could say he will, say he won't. Set that aside for a second. If you cut these four players, Donovan Smith, Cameron Brate, Ryan Suckup, and Leonard Fournette, you've just saved another $18.7 million in cap space.
Playoff Lenny? You're going to cut playoff Lenny?
Was he in the game last night? It was a playoff game, wasn't it?
He's had a hurt foot all year.
Well, so hurt foot Lenny. All right. So you cut those four players. Donovan Smith, the fans would cheer. Cameron Brate, who, if you listen to his interview, he all but said goodbye. Way more than Brady did, let me tell you that. He basically was waxing about his time here in Tampa last night. Ryan Suckup, who can't hit a 50-yard field goal, and injury Lenny. All right, so you've got, if those guys go, that's saving $18.7 million against the cap and there are several other players that would be pretty easy to sign to an extension and restructure the deal. The Buccaneers going into next season would have $67.6 million in cap space. You went from everybody panicking and freaking out. Remember how for years everybody kept saying, oh, the Saints have no money. They're up against the cap. They're over the cap. Oh, the Saints have no money. And then they kept signing people. Guys, there are things that teams can do. There are things that teams can do. So even if Brady did not sign that deal, the Buccaneers still have $47.6 million if you do those things that I just talked about. So, by the way, excellent job by Josh Capo on Pewter Report for breaking that down. He's freaking brilliant. And I hope one of these nights we will have our Joshua Cole Allen, JC Allen. We will get him on here one night he's with Pewter Report. Hopefully we'll get him on here to talk to us
Did you see that notebook he had for the draft? It was like this encyclopedia.
Yeah, well, he's like he's the real deal. Josh is pretty incredible. Anyway, okay, what do we have here? Jim Melvin says, to me, Josh Allen is the perfect 2023 quarterback. Trevor's actually an excellent runner too. At Clemson, he ran all over the place. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I want a quarterback that is a pocket passer, but who's got enough mobility to move a little bit. Look, Aaron Rodgers has been doing it for years. All right. There are plenty of other quarterbacks who played that way. All right. That to me is the ideal situation. Oh, boy, would I like Derek Carr. Oh my gosh, would I love to see this team with Derek Carr. But I don't know. I mean, guys, last night to me felt like the end of an era. It might stretch out.
Where'd you hear that from?
What's that?
Where'd you hear that from?
What, did you say that earlier?
Yeah, I said at the end. When you're asking me the questions, it felt like I said the end of an era. That's not a word, but it's a phrase.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And I agree with you. It felt like the end of an era. There have been a lot of eras I've been with this team. Dave's been following this team. There's the Doug Williams era. There's the before Doug Williams era. There are several different eras that this team.
There was a Terry Hanratty era.
That was a moment.
That was a series of downs.
Yeah. There have been a bunch of eras in this team's history. The era, I would even say that whole era with Shiano and Raheem, and there's that era of changing coaches. There have been several there's the Jameis Winston era. There's the Tom Brady era.
Tony Dungy era. That turned the franchise around. Because they had a different owner.
Yeah, and it feels now like this. If maybe we'll get one more year out of this. I just don't think. Well, by the way, Jim, go check out Josh Capo because he broke it down far more detailed than I'm going to do here. I'm not going to get into the weeds and bog this whole show down getting into the weeds. He got very detailed about breaking down how the Buccaneers can do this. You're correct. The way I described it was very basic. I did not dig deep into every little, all the nuance, but please follow Josh Capo from Bucs Report. That's Josh Queipo. And you'll get the really good detail on this, and props to him. Everybody, seriously, follow him, give him props. He deserves it. It's really an amazing set of tweets. It really is. But I honestly believe from my heart, guys, that this is probably the end of what should have been a very happy era. And what I think about with this team and its fans over the last 3 years, it's like the most complaining that I think I've ever heard in my life. That's kind of sad. These were 3 great years. I can tell you, Dave and I had fun. I can tell you we enjoyed these last 3 years. Dave said that the theme song going into tonight should be
Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Yeah, I mean, look,
you got great owners. You've had 3 great years. There's 4 teams that have never been to a Super Bowl.
Never even been.
37% of the league has never won a Super Bowl. Never won one. That's more than a third. More than 1 in every 3 franchise has never won a Super Bowl. And we have 2, and they were both blowouts. And one was 2 seasons ago. And the following season, you had your best regular season record.
Ever. And this year,
dating back to 1976.
Let's not lie and deny it. This year was disappointing. It was a hard year. It was just a hard season. Things going wrong all the time. 2 years ago, everything went right. Everything imaginable went right. The Bucs changed uniforms to get away from those god awful alarm clock uniforms to, they brought back these great uniforms. All right, then Winston went away and we got the greatest player in the history of the game. And then all these other guys started coming from Fournette, and just all these players started coming.
Stop for a minute and let that sink in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the lovable or unlovable losers, depending upon your perspective, the franchise that was a laughing stock, that was the Tonight Show made fun of.
Yep.
I'm dating myself. The joke, I remember reading an article about 15, 20 years ago that said, if the Tampa Bay, that the NFL should contract two teams, and they listed it as Bucs as one of the ones that should be contracted, nobody would miss them. That was the comment. So we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When you look at their franchise history in total, we finally got to 40% in wins with Brady being here. It took that long just to get back to 40% for the history of the franchise. We're known as being on a losing franchise. We were right there with the Detroit Lions for many, many years.
Yep.
And we were the it team for 2 seasons. Yeah. We had the greatest player of all time who's going into Canton. They might make some exception for him to go in after 5 minutes instead of 5 years being retired.
Just name the wing.
He's that good.
Just name a wing after him.
Yeah, this is the Brady wing. I mean, he's got more Super Bowl trophies than any franchise. Yeah. I mean, it's been an incredible run. Yep. And I just feel a little bit bad because we kind of choose the way we our perspectives and how we view things. But this has been a blast. Yeah. Back to back. We've never done it before. Back to back division champions. And no, it wasn't the way you want to do it, but we did it. We never did it before. We won 13 games in one season. Never done that before. Won a Super Bowl. I mean, this is the golden era of Bucs football. And I just feel a little twinge of I guess sadness, or just puzzlement, I guess is a better word, as to why people haven't enjoyed this run. Yeah. It's been like, oh, we didn't beat so-and-so by enough. Oh, we got to get rid of this coach because the offense should have put 50 on him. I mean, it's been this constant feeling of angst. I don't know if it's post-traumatic Buck syndrome for all the years of losing or what. I don't really think it is, but it's just, or maybe that's just the way fans have become. I mean, everything's socially media driven. So what have you done for me lately? What have you done in the last hour?
What everybody wants to do, just get online and
if it ain't perfect, get someone else in there, which is not the way you build winning culture and winning organizations. But I mean, think about it. Back-to-back division champions, never done it before. Super Bowl win, and Brady's first year, I really thought it would be year 2. That it would take a year to gel, even with Tom Brady. Well, really, it took like 2/3 of a season, and then they kicked it in. But it's been a great run. And Rob Gronkowski, I mean, he's entertaining if nothing else, and he's arguably the best tight end ever. And they donned the Buccaneers pewter. I mean, come on, this has been a great ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And people need to understand that. People need to enjoy the ride.
Yeah, let's face it. At the end of the day, professional sports is entertainment. Be entertained. Enjoy yourself.
Why aren't you having fun at this? If you're not having fun at this, what are you doing here? So, yeah, Dave, hallelujah. Thank you for saying it. Can I get a witness? I mean, that was Bucs Church. I mean, it's absolutely true. Everything you just said is true. And yeah, I just really hope fans will, if you didn't enjoy the winning, don't worry. The losing's coming again, probably. So, but I, for one, I've enjoyed the winning. I've had a good time with this. And Are we going to get Brady back? Look, I've talked about the struggles with Brady. I've talked about some negative things tonight. I've been pretty honest, pretty straight up with you about my thoughts about that. If Brady comes back, I am not unhappy. Okay? I am not unhappy. One more ride with Brady, I'm in. But if he doesn't come back, God bless you, brother. Thank you for coming. Glad you were here. Thank you for providing the 3 best years in this franchise's history. No matter how many people complained, no matter how many people griped and moaned and groaned, thank you for coming to Tampa. I hope he comes back. I've got mixed feelings, guys. I'll end on this. I have mixed feelings. Look, I'm a little tired of the circus. I'm a little tired of the will he stay, won't he stay, Brady this, Brady that, Brady. I want to get back to just being a Bucs fan. But having said that, Brady comes back for one more run, one more year. I got the rest of my life to experience what the Bucs are like without Brady. I think I'd be a fan. I think I'd be perfectly fine with one more year. One more year with Brady. I think I'd be fine with that. If nothing else, we get to see him in the creamsicles. And that's going to be one of the best parts of next year is the creamsicle Sunday. So anyway, Dave, you have any final thoughts?
Disappointing season where the franchise goes. Like you said, there's too much up in the air, especially at key positions. But Jason Light has done an excellent job navigating the team in his tenure. I'm going to trust that he's going to do the same. I'm not necessarily thinking we're going to be a juggernaut or a Super Bowl threat next year, regardless of what Brady does. I think you got a little bit of rebuilding to do to get to an elite level. But let's enjoy the ride. I mean, it's been a fun 3 years. There's going to be a lot of changes. I think the Bucs have 22 free agents. So there's going to be upheaval. And we'll see what we have when we kick it off next year. And the offseason is going to be interesting. It will be interesting to see how they work the cap and the moves they make. And let's go Bucs.
Yes, let's go Bucs. Absolutely, let's go Bucs. Thanks to thanks for all of you guys who've been here watching this show. Appreciate you very much. All the comments, thank you. And Dave and I are doing our own little thing over here now at Bucs Live. You can find us. You can find all of our links at www.bucs.live. You can find us on Twitter at GoBucsLive. You can find us on Facebook at GoBucsLive. And we're on YouTube.
Type in Go Bucs Live.
Yeah, I think it's Go Bucs Live, but I forgot what it is on YouTube. I think it's at Go Bucs Live.
Or Bucs Live, I should say.
But anyway, good times. Thank you to Bucs Report for letting us be on your platform anyway, even though we're doing our own thing and allowing your audience to see what we got going on here. Appreciate that, guys. As always, that link is also on our website. But guys, thank you for being here. Dave and I will be here all off season. Maybe not every week, maybe every week. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll figure it out as we go. But it's been fun. Nice little thing we got going here. We'll be adding things like phone calls and things coming up. There will be
more segments for Dave.
More segments for
Surprise
Dave.
Segments for me.
Yeah. I want to spring that on him because it was more genuine his answers instead of preparing something. We got some genuine answers. So guys, thanks for being here. It is good to be a Bucs fan, and I will, let's all just continue to have fun being the fanatics that we are, and being happy to say Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Oops. Let's try that again.